Hello, everyone. My name is Makawe, and I am a film student at UKZN. I'm also a project support officer at the Center for Creative Art, the CCA. I'd like to welcome everyone to this lovely short films webinar with Sébastien Simon. we have to keep to some ground rules, some basic housekeeping rules. So can I just remind everyone to please make sure that you have your microphones muted when you're not speaking. And also, if you have any questions, please write them on the chat box and I will be sure to pass them over to Sebastian. I'd also like to thank all the audience members, everyone who has tuned in to this session right now. I would also like to thank our supporters and all our sponsors, especially the Short Film Conference, who are responsible for this session. Now, before I hand over to Sebastian, let me tell you a little bit more about him. He's a filmmaker and he's also a photography teacher at a university in Busan, South Korea. He's a programmer for the Busan International Short Film Festival, Short Film Festival, and a board member for the Short Film Conference. He's a writer for the Busan Beat magazine. He's contributed to several years of slam dance film festivals and many more other festivals. His work includes One Minded and The Troubled Troubadour. And he graduated from the ESEC Film School and from the University of Paris. No, University of Paris. Sorry, my French is failing me right now. Anyway, 3 months ago in 2021, so he's given this roundtable before, and so we look forward to hearing from his presentation today. And when he's finished, we will engage with him. Over to you, Sebastian.
All right. Thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone. It's actually the evening here in Korea, but I guess for you, afternoon. So thank you for the introduction. I'm here today representing the Short Film Conference. So I'm one of the board members. I will share my screen, of course, and present, show slides and the conference. I'd like to say that I'd like to thank, of course, my colleagues, especially Niels Putman, who is our managing director and sort of takes care of the day-to-day emailing, networking a lot. He put up the conference with the Durban International Film Festival, and I'm just really there as a face, I guess, to deliver the words of the board. Let me share my screen. So the participants, I hope it's not gonna feel like too much monologue, but that's what it's gonna be. So hang on. Let me just find my screen to share. So I would hope that you see now a blue background with the white logo of the Short Film Conference and our website. You can see it, yes? Makawe?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, okay. All right.
Yep, thanks.
Wonderful. So the Short Film Conference takes care of, does many different things. It's all, of course, related to the short film as an art form, the industry related to this art form, and networking, an interest group, and a certain form of lobbying is what we are sort of doing on a year-by-year basis. But it's an old association. It's a non-profit association, and it started in 1970. Some of the founding members of the association, of the Short Film Conference, are festivals that are still now very much the standards of our industry. For example, the Clermont-Ferrand International Short Film Festival, Oberhausen International Short Film Festival, the Tampere Film Festival, the Sao Paulo International Short Film Festival were at the start of this project, which carries on until today. And obviously, as much as the art form has changed or evolved, as much as the industry has changed and evolved, the short film conference as well has evolved. And the activities that we do every year, of course, obviously we organize conferences similar to this one, but we also do a work of monitoring and researching the industry, right? We try as best as we can to keep the professionals, our members, but also, you know, anyone who is part of the industry informed, and we lobby for the rights of short films, of short filmmakers when we need to, or when we feel like we should or we can. Now, to go into a bit more detailed, we have currently 110 members coming from 41 different countries. We have the Durban International Film Festival is a member, for example, I suppose representing South Africa. But 41 countries, 110 members. Some of them, you have the logo here, for example, of course, Durban. Those are just a handful of them. What you will see just a bit later is that a lot of our members are festivals, short film festivals, but of course not only, also larger festivals who have significant short film sections, but also distribution companies such as H264, MIU, etc. One of the efforts of the board of the conference is to, you know, not only keep our membership, our current membership, but ideally to increase it. So in 2017, this is the repartition of members that we had per country, per continent. A few years later, in 2021, in 2020, sorry, this is what it looks like in terms of the repartition of members over the world. The reason that I wanted to specifically show, of course, this map is to show you that there is one member in South Africa, but otherwise the African continent is not really well represented, I would say, within the membership. And it is one of the mission, let's say, of the board, and very much the reason why I'm even here today presenting all of this, is because we would really like, and we hope, to be able to bring in more members from more countries, especially countries from Africa, from South America, Asia, Oceania, which are less represented than obviously Europe, for instance. One of the goals, to be frank, is that we would quite like to shake a bit this impression that the Short Film Conference is kind of Eurocentric. We hope that it's not, or at least we would rather that it wasn't. But also just the industry is different in Europe, or let's say in Korea here, or in South Africa, or in Canada, or anywhere. So we believe that people from those countries are best suited to represent their industry locally in regards to, you know, activities or collaborations that we could sort of build within the conference. To go back on the, to sort of address this membership, this in a slightly different way, on the left side, you can see on this round sort of figure, you can see the repartition of membership in categories. So obviously, more than 3/4 of the membership is festivals. That's how it started out, from festivals. So it's still very much ingrained in, you know, in the DNA of the conference. But as much as we also would want to widen the scope of countries that are represented, we also would like more partners from different sections of the industry joining the ranks and bringing their voice and their expertise to the mix. So distributors, you know, press, agency, online platforms are more than welcome to, you know, bring their knowledge and their voice to the conference. We would hope so. On the right side of the screen, right, the columns, you can see also, based on the growth of membership since 2016, it's doubled the numbers of members now. So it's quite successful in terms of growth. But per continent, you can see how it's still very much this sort of European representation is stronger or bigger than other continents, although it is actually growing sort of everywhere. So, you know, that's good. But again, the more voices come from less represented countries and regions of the world, we think would be the better for the conference, not just for its relevance, but again for just bringing fresh ideas and French voices to this old short film format and industry. In terms of activities, the way that the Short Film Conference has been operating the last, let's say, few years, 10 years, is that there is one usually big, strong moment taking place annually, and usually, always during the Clermont-Ferrand International Short Film Festival. Just the way that festival has grown over the years has turned it into a global platform for short films. And if you have never been, I would really recommend you that you try. It is a sight to behold, that festival. But for the Short Film Conference, it's also extremely convenient because most of the members of the conference usually come anyway for their own reasons, not just for attending the conference, but also to watch films, to network, party. Let's be honest, that's actually why we all do this. But in terms of the conference, that's usually where we organize most of our events, especially the General Assembly. Again, suddenly we are, except when it's COVID pandemic time, we are all together in a room, taking decisions collectively, exchanging ideas, and starting new sort of projects. So it's always an interesting moment, to be frank. But of course, we do organize panel talks and presentations every year during Clermont-Ferrand, bringing in either with members or outsiders even that we bring in for their expertise. For example, some of the topics that we addressed and organized in the last few years were gender equality in the short film industry, social media strategies for short film festivals, and the issue of fake festivals also. So, and these are just three of a few of the topics we addressed, but we do organize 3 different panel talks every year at that festival. So the range of topics that we covered and the range of, let's say, guests, speakers that we brought in has been quite wide. I will continue, but I will sort of go back to this just a little bit after my main presentation. So, but the Short Film Conference, the main event is usually at Clermont-Ferrand. But throughout the year, we do, of course, organize in partnership with our members, usually, other topics, other panel talks, such as this one today, in other festivals, to not have just one event only, but sort of an ongoing series of events throughout the year, roundtables, presentation, meetings, networking events. Those usually are targeted more at our members because there is a lot of members to include and to hear from anyway already. And what we usually do is that, of course, more and more now that it's online, like it's been happening online for the last year and a half, is that most of those recordings are usually available for rewatch afterwards. This way, it's not just a one-time thing that's sort of gone. It's discussions that can possibly be sort of upcycled, reused, shared, and that more people could benefit of over time. The lobbying practice that I mentioned before, we, just because of who the members are, just because of how long it's been happening, we felt like the Short Film Conference is, in certain occasion, a force that we can use to the benefit of the short film, of the short filmmakers, and sometimes to sort of, as a collective, to represent the short film industry towards organization, towards, let's say, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, the BAFTAs. Whenever there is a topic to sort of, where we feel like our voice is important to be heard, we usually do it. So lobbying, it's not, of course, our main reason to exist, but when it's necessary, it's good to do. Now, the code of ethics is something that is very much at the core of what the Short Film Conference has been for 50 years, 51 years. And it's something that is ever changing. It's called a code and not a rule book, because it's very much meant to be some sort of guidelines. The more that how can I say that? The more that new festivals pop up and possibly, try to endure over the years, the more it felt like the older festival could probably sort of share their knowledge, acquired over time, and it took the form of the code, which is a loose set of directions that we feel our members, but also possibly new festivals, could, if they want, if it matches the specifics of their local industry, follow or choose to follow. It's not, of course, mandatory. It's not meant to be some sort of a harsh, strong directive or imperative, but it's something that is also, that sort of helps everyone focus, I suppose, in practices of the industry. Again, it's changing over time. It's not just this one thing and that's it. That's how a short film festival must be. No, it's, from what it is now, is super different from what it used to be even when the Short Film Conference started or earlier. And therefore the code keeps being refreshed. A few years ago, it was very much about, for example, one of the topics was very much about the issue of the entry fees. And for a long time, the code said that a proper short film festival should keep its entry fee less. But it's become very difficult for a lot of festivals, for more and more festivals, to not use an entry fee. It doesn't need to be terribly expensive, but it's something that sort of shifted over years, over the last 10 years for sure. But it's been a point of conversation within the members, for example. More recently, it's been the screening fee. When films are selected by film festivals outside of the competition, should or could the festivals, especially our members, I suppose, consider paying the filmmakers a screening fee? It's a topic that can be addressed and that the conference, the members, have addressed and added to the code. It's available in different languages now. So, and I'll show you on the website, I suppose, after that, where you can find them if you're curious to read. Again, it is very, very much one of the core aspects of the association, even at the time as it was started, in 1970, right? It was there already in discussions and in effect, a text to share between members. More translation to follows. I mean, one of the activities of the board or the membership or the members has been to, as much as possible, when the members want to sort of help out, they will possibly provide the translation of their country. While it used to be only in English for like decades, but for the last few years, it's more accessible. Research. Another aspect of the work of the board and the short film conference has been to in a way consider the industry as a field of research. And following a conference that took place in Clermont-Ferrand about gender equality, which was now a year and a half ago, the board conducted an actual survey with, of course, the members to come up with this preliminary result. It's something that we feel can still be improved on, but does the short film industry, which tend to be, we would think, tend to be more sort of equal by nature, how are gender actually represented within the selected films, within the team of the festivals or the programmers? And it's a field of research that we've conducted, that the Clermont-Ferrand Short Film Festival and the Kurzfilm Tage Winterthur has sort of built up and conducted. And I'll show you on the website where you can sort of find that if you're interested. Another thing that we do, which again keeps the members sort of tied together, it's a yearly vote where the members can vote for an award that we set up called the Short of the Year. It's been happening since 2016 onward. So those 3 films are just 3 of the films that won year after year. It's one of those, let's say, side events that the board organizes every year and conducts with the members. But it's always an interesting and a more relaxed moment where at the annual short film conference, we reveal the winners. And because of how Clermont-Ferrand Short Film Festival is, oftentimes the filmmaker was there. So it's a way also to remind everybody that we're actually sort of doing all of this ideally for the filmmakers to benefit from in the first place. So it is an association. None of us, even at the board, are full-time workers for this. So it relies on memberships. The fee, there's an annual fee for members, which is 60 euros. Because we do pay for a website, we do pay for the speakers when we invite people to the conference. We have one team member who's sort of the managing director who we felt deserves a bit of a salary, but overall 60 euros per year, it felt to us was enough to cover those costs and make it a well-balanced little association. We would hope that most people, most association or festivals or companies who would want to become a member of the Short Film Conference would be able to pay that amount. If not, there is a paid forward system that we set up because we thought, depending on the realities of social economics situation within sort of different countries, 60 euros could, for some people or companies, could be nothing, but for some others could be like, well, it's a cost, isn't it? So the paid forward is a little system that's set up. We'll agree to sort of pay the cost of a prospective member. Anyway, this is something that is possible. For sure, what we would want from prospective members would be to take the code of ethics to heart. Again, it's not a harsh rule book thing, but it is still very much something that we feel needs to remain in everyone's mind, at least members. And of course, promoting the Short Film Conference, just like the Urban Film Festival is doing now, as much as our members can. This would be, of course, always welcome by the board. So what we provide, it's written here like a quality label. I would say also a voice, or or a chance to be heard within the short film industry. Priority access to all our activities. Some of those panels that we organize sometimes are open to anyone, sometimes are open just for members. So it sort of depends, but it's been sometimes like this. We have a few ongoing working groups where we usually try to put together people from different fields, but that they could, work together in little workshops or little sessions. For instance, to refresh the code of ethics or to set up the criteria for the gender equality survey, for example. So all those things happen within the members. There is maybe... I see that there's a question that was asked. If that's okay, I will... actually, it's about membership, so I could read now, I suppose. Do you only accept entities as members, or do you also offer individual memberships? Wow, good question. Usually not individual memberships. It's a good question, though. I realize it has been a while since that topic has been broached. I would say no, and I wish I had a slightly stronger, firm answer somehow, being on the board. But I wonder if it's not one of those topics where it happens so not often that all of us sort of forget a bit about it. For sure, I did. I'm pretty sure it's only entities or companies, or as you will see after, I will show you a few pages of the website, and there is no individuals really. But to sort of go back to the presentation, participation in working groups, access to networking channels in the newsletter, voting rights in the General Assembly, and for the short of the year. Those are what the membership sort of provides. Just to finish that presentation, this is the email that you can write to if you are interested, or if you want to know more. I will close that page. I will maybe just copy this in the chat box, this email address, so that I can close that page and open just quickly the website of the association. So let me just... Which South African entity is our member? It's the Durban International Film Festival. And actually, the artistic director of the Durban Film Fest is one of the board members, Chipo Zhu. And I'm sorry, I'm not super sure how to pronounce it. It is one of the board members. So I'm in the chat box, I'm copying this email address just so that I can close this and share my screen with something else just to sort of finish that first presentation. So here is, I hope you can all see it properly. Here is our website, all right? So you will find section by section on the left most of what I've explained, right? For instance, if you go to the members, you will literally see logos of, logos of members. You can go sort of continent by continent and sort of find out which entities or festivals or associations or distributors represent each continent. And just to do a bit of shameless self-promotion, the Busan International Short Film Festival, for example, this is the page of my festival, right? So you will find most of the information, who's the representative of the festival. For some of the members also, especially festivals, you can find here I hope it opens it clearly on your side, an archive where you can find previous PDF catalogs of my festival. And this is another little side project that the board has been conducting to add this sort of archives of festivals. Again, you never really know when it could be useful to somebody researching the short film industry, for example. You can find in team, you can find who are the members of the board. So Niels Putman, like I said, is the current managing director. And the person who would probably see the mail if you write to info@shortfilmconference.com The current chairman is Lawrence Boyce from Puff Shorts, the short film section of the Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival. So he's our chairman, and other board members sort of represent continent by continent as much as we could represent, let's say, the whole world, right? More or less, I suppose. So I'm French, but I guess I am working for South Korean festival, so I suppose I do represent a bit Asia. It's a bit hard to say with a straight face, but like I said, Chipo from the Durban Festival is one of our board members as well. A few of the other sections I think could be of interest if you're curious to sort of know more about how the conference has evolved. There is this history section, calendar, of course, what events will happen here. This is the one that I would like to present a bit more. As the website became sort of refreshed and remade a few years ago, we also started to put more archiving videos even of the conferences we organized, or how do you call that in English? Sorry. Let's say briefs from some of the conferences, but in writing sometimes. At least you will find the information, the titles of some of the previous conferences that we organized year after year, when they happen, who was taking part in them. And with the more of a sort of centralized database of, of our activities that we felt we could design the website, the more useful we hope all of this eventually become, if not now, possibly in the future, who knows, right? Obviously, because of COVID, a lot of the activities of the board and the conference have sort of shifted to a much more online sort of systems, which strangely made 2020 one of our busiest year in terms of events. But it was also a way to, as all of us felt, I suppose, isolated and facing an uncertain sort of fate for some festivals or some companies, it was also a good way to sort of keep in touch with each other and hear of each other's sort of specific situations and sort of ongoing struggles or solutions even, of course. So it's been active, I would say, shockingly, despite none of us really, of course, imagining that this would ever happen. The research is where the section is where you can find more on this gender representation, and especially the survey, if anyone is curious to sort of try. The lobbying practice, the code of ethics, the short of the year, the list of films that we awarded, can all sort of be found here, and would give you a pretty, I hope, good good impression of what the Short Film Conference, as an association, as a collective of people passionate for the short film form, are always trying to do to sort of remain on a part of the sort of short film ecosystem, and an active one as that. I'm pretty much, I think, done on my presentation. I covered a lot of ground. I'm curious if maybe some of the participants maybe have more questions to ask. Or maybe, of
yes.
course.
Yeah, we are just reminding everyone we are taking questions. So if you're watching on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching on, please write a question and it will come to us. And Sebastian will definitely answer that question. That was a lovely presentation. Thank you very much, Sebastian.
Thanks.
All right. So just a few things that I picked up on during your presentation. You spoke about how the short film conference has evolved. Could you in any way maybe elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. For instance, like I said, the last, let's say, 10 years, at least since I sort of became a part of this short film festival world, I've seen how the conference, like I said, has been very, very much centered on this annual short film conference at the Clermont-Ferrand Short Film Festival. But I've heard from members who were there, let's say from the start, that it used to be more sort of, it used to be organized in different places around the world. On any, it wouldn't be always at Clermont-Ferrand every year. One year it's in Clermont, the next year it's maybe hosted by the Sao Paulo Short Film Festival in South Africa, my God, in South America. Another year it would be maybe, I don't know, in shorts in Tokyo, who knows? So but I suppose economic realities have made that slightly difficult. Also, as I suppose the numbers of members grew, suddenly, if you just have to invite, let's say, like 5 or 6 people every year, it's like, all right, it's manageable. But when you have 110 people, it's like, let's rethink this maybe. so so again, Clermont-Ferrand is just the most convenient place, at least for now, for sure, where most people will be anyway. And so at least the last 10 years, what I've seen is at Clermont, those conferences, especially the General Assembly, as something that the members, in a way, expect. Like, oh, finally we're there. We've sort of course, most of us after a few years, you sort of know everyone, I guess. It's not such a big numbers of people, I suppose. But it's always interesting to literally meet and hear your peers, right? And here I speak maybe a bit too much as a representative of film festivals. Again, some of the conferences that we organized were meant to spotlight, let's say, distributors, short film distributors. There are more and more of such companies who start and distribute short films. So they're a voice within the industry that wasn't necessarily there before. Let's say, I don't know, 20 years ago, how many short film distribution companies were there? I'm not sure, but certainly less than now. Obviously, like streaming platforms specialized on short films, this is of course still sort of being tested by some platform happen, disappear. I guess but it's happening. It would have happened even without COVID, I think. This sort of digitalization of the industry to a degree, right? So this is something that in a way that the short film conference now, in a weird way, benefits a lot from, because 110 members in so many different countries, we don't get to meet so often in person. So all those little side events, like if at Busan Short Film Festival, I organize a short film conference approved sort of roundtable, well, then I'll make sure to at least get a couple of guests from whatever countries. And so, it keeps the membership sort of alive. And again, most of it really is, at least what the board is trying to do a lot is to enhance, international collaborations. And this is much easier now online. And I'm not talking about the COVID sort of backup plan thing. No, I just mean it is extremely convenient to organize those working groups online throughout the year, rather than, let's see you in next February in Clermont in 7 months. It's just So, I mean, yeah. The another like even the range of topics that the short film conference is sort of touching upon is the good a good point of this membership being so sort of broadened now is that issues will rise in some areas that wouldn't rise in other areas, or there would be pressing issues of the time. The gender equality survey very much came at the right moment, following all that gender equality overall discussion, not just in the short film industry, right? Or or even just a couple of months ago, the Riga International Short Film Festival, Riga 2 Anas International Short Film Festival. With the short film conference, we organized a big workshop activity on how to be eco-friendly as a festival. And several members had several solutions that they had tested in their countries or in their events, and they shared this. And this is something you can also find on the website. Let me just, where was it on the website? On the, I think the research page of the website. So I'm just checking right now. No, it's not the research page. It's on the Code of Ethics page. You will find a guide for film festivals titled "How to Be Green." It's probably a conversation that wouldn't have happened even like 5 years ago. So it evolves by trying to stay on top of things, I guess.
Yeah. And we have a question from Obeguise Ndlovu. He wants to know, how does one actually make money from making a short film? And could you also talk more about the short film of the year?
So as a short film filmmaker myself, how do you make money with short films? I mean, I'll go back to this question just afterwards. It's easier for me right now to answer the second part. The short film of the year. So this came about over a couple of years. The idea was suggested at one of the General Assembly in Clermont-Ferrand, right? I forgot by whom, to be honest, but around the 2014 or 13 maybe, or 15. And then everyone felt like, oh, it's probably a very good idea. And the board members at the time thought, okay, let's see how they can really organize this. All right. And so they thought about it. And then the following year, they suggested, okay, this is how it could work. All right. And so the following year again, we finally field tested it and made it for the first time in 2016. How can I say this? It's done for, I suppose, two reasons. First, to sort of bring it a bit back to the filmmakers and the films and the short films themselves. We're not just organizing conference. We're not just preparing surveys. We're short film lovers, and so and very much wanting to put the short film, the creators themselves on a bit more of a spotlight, right? It's also a way to keep. It was another sort of side event that the board could organize in favor of the members. At some point, the question can be raised genuinely, like, okay, we pay 60 euros per year. What for? Well, several different things, but one of them is to be able to vote at this short of the year. And the way that it happens, for example, myself as a programmer of Busan Short Film Festival, the first round is every festival suggests 5 short films. So suddenly I can try to suggest some short films maybe from Korea or from Asia that I've seen that I think sort of possibly could benefit from having this little chance to get just a bit more of recognition. Then there is a couple of voting steps, right? First many short films and a bit less. Then at the end, of course, the winner. Of course, we talked about it. Like, what does the winner actually wins? up until 2 years ago, it was very much how do you say that? Symbolic. You know, you get, oh, this is the award that you get. But now that the short film as the short film conference is a rather serious, organization, it does mean something. It's an award that comes directly from the programmers of so many different events and festivals. For the last year and a half, one of our members, board members actually, Festival Regard in Quebec, in Canada, has invited the winner to their festival, and the winner and his or her film, of course, to literally be a guest of the festival. So this is the kind of thing that we try to, ideas that we sort of put in year after year. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for an idea to sort of manifest itself, or for a specific project to happen. But again, we are not full-time employees of this. Even the board, right? We do our best, but while having 100 different things to do in our daily life. So the short film of the year, that's for me as a rather new member of the board. It is something that the previous board put created or sort of set up, which carries on already 5 years or 6. So it's a good sort of symbol also of the association evolving, I suppose, or adding, proposing new ideas. How does one actually make money with short films? It sounds like the topic of a very different panel, but it's not a bad question, of course. It's not easy, I suppose. One way to actually make money with short film is to earn prizes in festival, which is very much, if filmmaking was a sure career or lifelong career plan, everyone would be a filmmaker. And it's true for feature films anyway as well. So how do you make money with short films? Ideally by virtue of making it and earning prizes in festival. I'm not sure, of course, in South Africa, I don't know enough at all. But for example, in France, there are grants that you can get before, but also after making your short film based on its quality. Screening it at some sort of, some airline companies acquire rights to screen short film on their sort of in-flight entertainment display. It's just, there are obviously some online platforms that will pay some sort of a fee, but how much can you really expect to earn out of that? It's very unsure. As a short filmmaker myself, I did one time earn actually several thousand euros with two short films on a platform, on an online short film platform. But it seems like it was pure luck, because the next films didn't earn nearly as much money at all. Anyway, it's I'll be honest. Especially if you can sort of hope that you can earn prizes in festival sort of semi-regularly enough to sort of keep it sustainable at the very least. But let's be honest, you're probably never gonna earn that much money over time only with short films. It would be great if it was true. Hopefully it becomes true, but it's tricky. Or if you consider a TV series as a little group of short films, as a very specific kind of short films, I suppose there is more money to be earned there. But it's actually, of course, a very different sort of type of films.
Yeah. We have a comment here from Mtutu Zaidi Mashoba, and they're saying that that short films are an irreversible evolution of film, as the pace of life has become so fast that viewers can no longer afford the luxury of sitting for 2 hours plus watching a movie, so that the shorter film are made so that more viewers can spare the time and the little mind and the little time they have to watch films. So that sort of speaks to what you were talking about just now, the evolution of, you know, festivals and everything, and even people.
Sure. Actually, cinema existed as predominantly as a short film form from the beginning. Actually, originally, I mean, the first few years of the of cinema existing, and then it became this sort of, the film became longer. Storyteller wanted to tell more complex stories. Producers felt like you can probably earn more money by by standardizing this and make it. But the feature film came much actually later, and so short films were there first.
Yeah.
But yeah, even this notion, right? Attention span or whatever, like all of this, you're like, yeah, cool. Who is actually watching a 20-minute, let's say, classic short film? Not classic in the historical sense, but the kind of short film that go into festival. Who, let's say, in the subway or in the bus actually watches that kind of film compared to, let's say, a much shorter, funnier, wackier, or whatever YouTube video? Like,
yeah,
3-minute video, YouTube video, it's still an art form, I would say, the festival short film that deserve that demands that the audience is focused on this. But all those sort of internet-based things and YouTube thing, it's just, I'll watch a YouTube video. It's gonna take me an hour. Just pause, answer a message to whoever, start again, pause again. It's not exactly the same, isn't it? So I agree, but I suppose in a way I disagree. Maybe, I'm not sure.
I get that. Now, I do want to touch quickly on the 60 euro membership fee, especially, in the context of Africa, and in wanting to, it'd be nice to have more representation there. And so could you also maybe elaborate more on the paid forward? You mentioned the paid forward. So how do you go about with that? If you
Yeah, I'm gonna, no, sure, no problem, of course. I'm gonna share my screen again. I might as well do it like this. So to whoever would want to consider becoming a member, you would find on the main page. Does it open in? Oh, sorry, no, hang on. Where is? Oh, my God, where was it? Oh yeah, here. Are you seeing that page that says
Yes.
apply for? Okay, great.
Apply for membership? Yes.
On the very top of the website, you will find like apply for membership, and you can find details about the paid forward here. So it's how we call this process that we offer to whoever needs it, where a member of the conference will agree or offer to pay the membership fee for another festival or company or organization. This is really set up as a case-by-case sort of thing. Whichever company or entity or would feel like they maybe need to use the paid forward, needs to contact the board, and we will discuss and we will see. But some of our current members have said like, yeah, sure, if someone needs it, we will pay, and we keep it rather anonymous, I guess. Obviously you don't want to sort of embarrass anyone or just make it weird, but just it's possible. It's something we felt. I forgot exactly, but it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, that someone came up with this solution or this possible solution. And it's the kind of idea that pretty much everyone is like, oh yeah, that's a immediately, like, you don't barely need to put it onto a vote or anything. It's just like, if it helps convince a prospective member to join and sort of yeah, I mean, it's something we gladly do.
Nice. Well, I'm sure a lot of people that are tuning in right now should be very interested in in applying
Oh, I hope so.
and maybe in like and become a member of the short film conference. Maybe just one more thing before we go. We have 4 minutes. Um, I think that we saw a lot of panels that panel discussions. One thing that caught my mind that I'll be very interested in, maybe like the findings of that panel discussions. I've made a short film, and now what do I do with it? If you could maybe in the last
Oh,
3 minutes take us
can you
through findings of that.
can you remind me, sorry, which year it was? I think last year,
Oh,
right?
I didn't see the year, but it was.
Uh, oh, I see. Yeah, right. So that panel happened at the 2020 short film conference. So it was, at that time, it was live in Clermont-Ferrand Short Film Festival, and that's one of those panels where we invited a specific person to give her sort of give her experience. So a filmmaker, again, to not just talk between festivals, I guess. Um, so her name was Clarissa Jacobson. She gave, for that particular panel, she really very much gave her own sort of solutions on how to promote. And especially, she did address the idea that, obviously filmmakers will think a lot about making a film. It's like, where do I get the budget? How do I handle the egos of whoever? How do I tighten my edit? And then it exists, and you're like, yeah, cool, it's done. But then how many filmmakers actually know the next step? In very many ways, this is actually the beginning of the life of the lifestyle. Sorry, the life of one's film. So even the idea of just, oh, I'll submit to festivals. Yeah, cool. Which one? Like, where do you find a list of reliable festivals? Trustworthy festival. How do you process this? The premiere demands of some festivals versus festivals who don't ask a premiere. How do you can you really wait 7 months until you receive an answer from Cannes, until you start submitting to other festivals? That could happen in the meantime. So that panel was very much more on the to sort of serve filmmakers and maybe filmmakers who don't have such a very clear idea of the circuit of festival, or even distributor. How do you approach a distributor? Do you need one as a filmmaker? In a way, some of that panel perhaps was maybe meant for more like newcomers, and sometimes we feel it's necessary to sort of remind even ourselves that, yeah, not everyone understands this at all. To be frank, it took me a couple of years as a filmmaker and at the same time as a programmer to sort of get it. Like, oh, okay, cool. If I try that festival, I can maybe at the same time I try this one, and whichever selects my film the first will, just. And it's complex, isn't it? So I'm not sure I'm giving away any of her actual tips, but that's what that panel is about.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for engaging with us and for that very, thorough and well presented presentation. I really enjoyed it, and I think I speak for everyone. just for everyone, again, if you need to be in touch with the Short Film Conference, their email address is info@shortfilmconference.com. So thank you very much. Good night to you, Sebastian, and good day to everyone on this side of the equator. All right, thanks. Goodbye.
Thank you too. Take care. Have a good festival.
Thank you. Bye.